All right, so let's get to it here. 215. First off, Mac. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
My man, my pal, our guy, Jody Mac.
How you been, bud?
How you been?
Other than the fact that you're not sunburned,
No.
you seem to be pretty good.
I feel good. I feel,
Good.
up and perky and ready to go. Actually got a pretty decent sleep last night, and away we go.
What time do you get back?
About 4:30.
Oh, that's not bad.
Good trip, nice and easy. Seltzer was a couple, row behind me. He's sitting next to some guy kicking my chair.
Shout out to Lee, listener of the show.
Yes.
I told him to kick your chair more than he was. So
Very nice.
Him and his wife, good people. All right, so a lot of good stuff here today. Let's get to it.
I met Lee, and he did something really bad, but it was really funny.
Okay.
My bag was coming around on the, thing, and he goes, Rhea, let me grab your bag. And I go, oh, Lee, that was so nice of you. Thank you. And his wife goes, well, there goes my bag right there. I was horrified.
How about that?
Lee's getting it this morning.
How about that? Hello, Lee.
No, Lee's not getting it this morning.
Oh, Jody!
How about that?
Mac
Mac Man, right out of the gate. All right, 215-592-9494. All right, so let's get to it here. I think it's fair to say that the initial burst of NFL free agency is unofficially over. 9 days in the books. Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize the pace of signings has slowed down dramatically. The Eagles have already brought in a bunch of guys, probably around 10 dudes or so. They've lost a couple. The guys they lost were the guys you wanted to lose. I mean, this wasn't like last year where you were desperately trying to hold on to a lot of good players with limited cap space. This was a different reality this year. And so I'm curious where everyone stands at 215-592-9494. Not that free agency's over. Clearly it's not, but the initial burst is. And we'll assess now, and really only about a month till the draft now. How do you think the Eagles did? How do you think Howie Roseman did with the moves he made, who he got, who he lost, the positions he prioritized, the positions he has not yet prioritized at all? Jody, first crack at it here today. How did Howie do?
First things first, in the industry, they call it waves. Wave one,
Yep.
You are right, is now pretty much over. I think it's actually been over for a couple of days. You go back and check, Eagles included, but all other teams. It's been no wow sign. I guess Chase Young to the Saints might have been a good demarcation at the end of wave one. So we're now in wave two, and wave three is like the Eagles last year signing linebackers after they showed up in camp. Yeah, maybe we would need to get a couple more linebackers in here. So, yes, I agree with you that they're through wave one. I said this with Glenn on Sunday when Mac and I did our Sunday morning show. To this point, I would say Howie's signings have been underwhelming.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Not bad. Not like, oh, my God, what the hell are the Eagles doing? They have so many holes. He's filled some holes. He's made some nice signings. I like some of the things he's done. Some of them I question. Some I question pretty harshly, and you could have done better there, Howie. But all in all, I give him a passing grade if we're going pass-fail. He's certainly on the passing side of it, but oh my God, wow, the Eagles have jumped to the head of the line of NFC contenders to go in the Super Bowl. Not off what they've done so far.
Why? Which bothered you?
I'm a Saquon guy. I like this. He's the biggest name. He's the one that I think people have the strongest opinion on.
Yep.
I got no problem with that. The fact that Howie Roseman, as a matter of fact, I think it's a strength of Howie's. The fact that Howie Roseman was not worried about resetting the running back market for the rest of the National Football League. He shelled out more money for Saquon than anybody else. You got one of the best backs in the National Football League. Why wouldn't you add him? The whole worry about, this means that they don't think Jalen could do it with the pet. No, that's not true. They just think, give him another weapon. Make it easier on everybody
So what
else.
bothered you? What bothered you?
I think that Bryce Huff is a roll of the dice. He's had one good season, and I'm a Pro Football Focus guy. He is one of the worst defensive linemen in the National Football League against the run. He's a one-dimensional player. He's a one-trick pony. He goes straight ahead very quickly. All the analytics of the win rate and the time speed of how quickly he gets off the ball is all nice. I want to know about what did you actually accomplish on plays that are run in the National Football League. And other than getting to the quarterback, the answer's not much. And you're betting on him. He's a young player. He's an ascending player. You believe he's going to be good in the other aspects of the game. $17.5 million. You should be getting someone who you already know what he can do in almost every single aspect. And, oh, by the way, I'm a Jet guy. So I watch every Jet game.
You watch a lot, yep.
I probably watch more Bryce Huff than anyone else here in the Delaware Valley.
Yeah.
This really ticked off Eagle fans. I said it here on WIP last week. You know who he reminds me of? Good. That means you didn't hear the show.
No. Is that a good thing or a bad thing if I didn't hear the show?
It's
a disappointing thing. That's what it is.
It's a nothing burger because I know what you're doing. You're sound asleep. You got to get up and do your show there, so it doesn't bother me in the least.
Does the first name start with a J?
The
guy he reminds you of?
Go ahead and take a guess.
Jason Babin?
That would be correct.
Oh, God.
Wow.
One-dimensional pony.
Wow. Well, James, you know what the irony of this is? And you pointed this out last week. Bryce Huff, despite the fact that he has garnered less than 1% of the conversation here on WIP, received the most money of all the players the Eagles signed. Like Saquon didn't get more.
No.
Josh Sweat didn't get more. CJ GJ didn't get more. Bryce Huff got the – James, you pointed that out, and I got the Mac man here telling me thumbs down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, it could be thumbs up. I don't know. I'm just telling you a $51 million layout is a lot for a maybe. And that's what Bryce Huff is to me right now. He's a maybe. Maybe he's great. Maybe he's Jason Babin Part 2. That's not good for $51 million. So, yeah, that was one that kind of grabbed my attention, and I said, really?
Well, look, here's the deal. 215-592-9494. Obviously, everyone can weigh in, and we're curious where you stand, sizing up the initial burst of free agency, how he did and who we got and who we didn't get and who we lost out on and who they actually specifically lost and which positions they went with and the Bryce Huff thing. Because it is an unusual reality. I mean, very unusual to have a player who signs for the most. I don't know if I ever remember a scenario in Philly sports where the player that signs for the most money gets discussed the least of all the notable players that get discussed. Like, we're not talking about the guy they signed the other day. What was that, from San Francisco, James?
Yeah, Oren Burks.
Whatever that guy's name is. Trey Burks, Trey Lance, Oren Burks. I don't know. Like, no one cares, and that's fine. We should care a lot about Bryce Huff. Jody, I have a theory that part of the reason the Bryce Huff thing didn't garner more discussion, nobody ever heard of him. I mean, I hadn't heard of him. I mean, I guess I watched him in an Eagles-Jets game, so I suppose I heard his name during the game.
As a matter of fact, that was one of the best games he played last year. And that's, I think, helped to get that number up to 51 million.
And we still don't remember his name from it,
right, but I was told he played a good game in that game. Look, obviously they're trying to bank on his future. All right, the other moves, Jody, is that, and again, everyone at 215-592-9494, because I thought for the most part, I thought Howie did a pretty good job. Now, very unconventional. I do wonder if he was chasing not what I'd call a headline or two, but what I'd call a feeling or two. I mean, I do wonder if he went out of his comfort zone and out of their normal structure. Like in the great movie Gladiator. Maximus is told, and then he does it. Win the crowd. And I wondered, and Maximus was great at winning the crowd. And I wondered if Howie did something that ordinarily we would not advise an executive in Philadelphia sports to do, to win the crowd. But I wonder, the two that really spoke to that possibility, obviously, are Saquon Barkley, a running back. Really three, but I'll go two, because Devin White didn't get that much money. It's not like it's that much more money than Zaire White got 2 years ago with the Eagles. I mean, Zaire White got $5 million. Devin White might get $7 million. It's not that tremendously unconventional. But the two tremendously unconventional moves, Saquon Barkley, obviously at running back, and bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson after everything that had gone down. Do you think he was trying to win the crowd, Jody?
I don't care. I just analyze the move. I just see how he fits, how it's going to help the Eagles win. Whether the crowd likes it or doesn't like it is irrelevant to me, and I would hope that Howie is doing his business the same way and disregarding what the crowd says. As a matter of fact, I give Howie credit on both of those two moves because they are, more importantly, unconventional to the league than what the fans of Philadelphia think. He was the guy who started the procession of paying running backs more. So, good. I got no problem with that. He's acknowledging, the league might be, and guess what? The league followed suit. Other running backs got paid. So, good on him for being ahead of the curve on that. And the CJ GJ thing, here's the reason why I like that. How he screwed up last year. He should have kept CJGJ.
I thought so, too.
They let him walk out the door. They budgeted so much for the secondary. They decided to go Slay and Bradbury, which meant they were going to probably have a number. They were going to get out on CJGJ, and they did. And he went to Detroit for a year, played well before he got hurt, and they played okay in the playoffs when he came back. And they realized, our safety play wasn't as good without him.
Right.
Maybe we need to adjust. Maybe we need to rethink. That's a good thing. When you acknowledge that, all right, we missed on this one, let's not miss again.
Yeah.
Let's not stick to it just because we're stubborn. We made a call on CJGJ. He's not a fit. He's too much. We're moving up. No. They said, can we talk about you coming back? And they made that adjustment. They got the deal done, and they're now better at safety. So I give Howie credit for that.
Well, look, it's notable that with the moves we've discussed, here's what we haven't yet discussed because here's what they haven't yet done. He has not done anything at cornerback, which I actually thought was the most important position to fill. Not the biggest need. I want to be clear. Like linebacker and safety, they had nobody. At least you have Slay at corner. But I do project corner as a more important position. I'm disappointed to this point. Nothing's been done. Now, obviously, the draft's still there. You can still sign some players. You can still make a trade. But it's notable, 10 days into this thing, no corners. No defensive tackle to replace Fletcher Cox. That's putting a lot of eggs in the basket of Jalen Carter, who I think for the most part people say, okay, no problem putting eggs in his basket. Jordan Davis, I don't need eggs in his basket. He's going to eat them.
Very nice segue.
All right, so, and I don't even know who the third defensive tackle would
Milt.
be. I mean, maybe
Milt's going to be good.
Milt Williams, but
Milt's ready to step up.
He goes outside also. He's also got 1 year left on his deal, and he's done. So you got that reality. I mean, it's been an unconventional look, we'll see where you stand. And, of course, the Reddick thing is completely unfinished. And, unfortunately, with the Sweat news, my instincts tell me Reddick's probably gone. But, all right, where do you stand on all this? At 215-592-9494, how we did in the initial burst of free agency. We'll do a lot today on the Phils. Some of the audio from the interviews from the last couple days, we'll get to that. AMA at 7. You ask, we answer. You got to get those questions in on Facebook, Twitter, and the text line. 3 ways you can interact with the show for a 7 o'clock AMA. And again, your phone calls, 215-592-9494. Plus, coming up next, your chance to win Phillies tickets today on the show. That and more. The Mac Man in for John on 94 WIP.